Hi, I'm Daphne from Daps Makeup, and I am excited to talk about Chanel's new Les Beiges Golden Hour collection because I did buy 2 items from the collection and I did use them to create this bronzy golden orange makeup look today. So I'm really excited to tell you what I think about these products and to just briefly talk about the collection as a whole. Like I said, I only bought 2 items from the collection. So the 2 items that I got is the Soleil Couchant Healthy Glow Powder. Yes, it's dirty. I will show you it pristine, but I actually wanted you to see what it looks like after one use, just so you can kind of get a sense of what happens to the embossing and how messy this palette can get. I will clean it off, but I just want to show you it used so you can know what the real is. And then I also got the Rouge Coco Flash in the shade Late Sun. Before I give you my thoughts about these 2 particular items, and you will get to see them in action, let's just quickly go over the collection as a whole and discuss the items that I chose not to get. As I discuss these items, you might notice me looking down at my phone, and I'll also try to post up pictures on the screen. So let's talk about this collection. So some of the items are actually just that they're promoting are re-promotes of staple products in their collection, and then we have the limited edition items that, you know, obviously we're the most excited for. But let's just go over everything that they're promoting for this particular collection. So one is the Les Beiges Healthy Glow Foundation. Now, I actually bought it for the first time for myself earlier this year, and I did use it today. So that's part of my glowing complexion that I have today. So I actually bought that in the shade BD 121. I bought that after I had emptied another item that they're re-promoting, the Water Fresh Complexion Touch, which I had owned. That shade also BD 121. I love that product, and I wanted to try a different foundation from them because I love Chanel foundations. I really haven't found a foundation that I hate from them. So I'm always, you know, excited to try different products from the line. So I can tell you, I do like it, and I used it today. So there you go there. They're also re-promoting their Healthy Glow Sheer Powder. I don't own that. I actually recently bought their loose powder, which I did use today, which I love the loose powder. In one day in the future, I do want to try, this powder, but like I said, there's no rush. This is something that they've always had, in their arsenal. Okay, so now I think we can start to get into like the limited edition items. So when it comes to the Healthy Glow powders, there are 2. I got the deepest shade. I've cleaned it off now. I bought the deepest shade, but there is one that has a pink and gold tone to it. That shade is called Eclat du Soir. Believe it or not, I was actually tempted to get it. You know, I think this deeper shade is meant for deeper skin tones, and the other one is meant for more fair skin tones. Now, you know, I'm well aware that I don't think the blush would work on my skin tone, but to me, actually, I was even tempted to just use them both as highlighters, and that I would mix the 2. You know, I'm still kind of tempted. I want to go actually in store and swatch it. I ended up buying the 2 items that I did. I actually bought them online. Ulta, I had them. For Mother's Day, I received a gift card, and with Ulta, you can only buy online. But I do eventually want to go in store to the Chanel boutique and swatch them myself. They're also available at Nordstrom and Macy's, in case you're curious. But I went with the safe bet and went with the shade that is supposed to be meant for deeper skin tones. And there's these Healthy Glow Sheer Color Sticks, and there are 2 shades of those. I decided to pass on that just because I realize now I'm not really into cream or stick blushes anymore, and I'm not sure, just even looking from afar, if I was going to like that formula. Like I said, if I have the opportunity, I will go into store one day and and I'll swatch them. I'll post on Instagram and let you know what I'm feeling. I'll probably maybe post something maybe in my community post here on YouTube and let you know at a later date what I think from the swatches, but I don't see myself buying them, just me personally. Although the color choices look really beautiful, I just don't think I'm really into that type of formula at this time. Then there is the eyeshadow palette. I decided to pass on that. Just because just in general, when it comes to Chanel, I love Chanel for a lot of different categories of makeup. Eyeshadow, I do feel that their formulas tend to be hit or miss, and so I'm pickier with eyeshadows, and I have to really, the color store has to really call to me. And the color store, it's pretty, but it wasn't like blowing me away. And actually today, and we'll talk about it, I ended up using the blush highlighters on my eyes today and creating an eye look. And you know what? I think I pulled it off. So I'm actually happy that I'm actually okay that I passed on the eyeshadow palette because I think I was able to make this work with the eyes. The Rouge Coco Flash, they do have several new shades. The Late Sun wasn't the only one, but this shade just particularly spoke to me. It's the deepest of the ones that they're coming out with. You know, when I was trying to decide if I was even going to buy anything from collection, what was I going to get, and I was kind of going back and forth in terms of the blush highlighters and things like that. The one thing that I was like, if I'm getting something from this collection, I just knew for certain there was one thing that I knew that I wanted, and was this lipstick color. And I'll tell you right now, I'm really happy I got it. So this was the one thing I knew that I wanted in this particular shade. I already know that I love Rouge Coco Flash formula, but I was excited for this particular shade. And lastly, they do have two nail polishes. And if you know me, I love Chanel nail polishes. I own a lot. Surprisingly, I passed on both. Usually when they come out with different collections, I usually end up getting one or two nail polishes. This time I passed on both. Neither color really spoke to me. And those who've been following me know I actually recently just bought two nail polishes from Dior. So I was, quite satisfied with what I bought from Dior, that I didn't feel like I needed the nail polishes from this collection. Today I'm actually wearing a old Chanel nail polish that had come out last year, Clair de Lune. Which I think is great for the summer as well. So I'm just enjoying what I already own from Chanel at this time. But let's talk about the two products I did get. Now, before I really get into my thoughts on these two products, I actually have a demo video for you so you can see how I created this makeup look today. So watch the video to see these items in action, and then I will tell you my final thoughts. I already did my base. It's mainly Chanel. I use the Healthy Glow Foundation in the shade B121, Sublimage concealer in the shade 91, and also have their loose powder in the shade 121. So got the Chanel base all set. And so now it is time to use the two new products. So now Soleil Couchant, this is advertised and meant to be used solely as a blush and highlighter. But for the hell of it, because I didn't buy the eyeshadow palette, I'm gonna see how this would work as eyeshadow. If this fails, that's okay, because it was not advertised to do so. We're gonna try this on the eyes, then I will try it on the cheeks as it's meant to be. And then lastly, I will use the Rouge Coco Flash in the shade Late Sun on the lips. All right, so let's get started. final look. Eyes, cheeks, and lips. Yes, and let me also show you without lighting so you can see what it looks like in natural lighting. I think it's important to see this look both in natural lighting and with the extra lights on. Okay, so let's get together and talk because I definitely have some thoughts, particularly on the blush. So I definitely gotta let you know what I think of these products. So let's talk. All right, I hope you found that video helpful. So first off, let's just get this out of the way. The lipstick Rouge Coco Flash, it's already formula that I'm in love with, so it was more about the shade. You can see it on my lips. Now this is a shade that doesn't need a lip liner. Now I did put a brown lip liner on because that's just a personal preference. I just tend to like lip liners whenever I do a lipstick look, and especially if I'm doing an orange. I just feel this need to put for my own comfortability. But actually this is a shade that on my skin tone you can get away with no lip liner, so it's actually not necessary. I'll just apply again a little bit more, and that is the lipstick shade. It's gorgeous. I think this is great for the summer. It's bronzy, it's a sophisticated metallic. It's pretty, not too bright orange, not too red, not too brown. It's just, I think it's gorgeous. It screams summer. And the formula is so hydrating, so comfortable, so easy to use that I love it. So this is a can't miss. So if you love this shade or any shade, if any of the shades call to you, I say go for it because the formula, chef's kiss. All right, now I want to take my time to talk about this product. This is probably one of the products that people are most excited about. It's probably the eyeshadow and or the blush highlighter duos. So let's talk about it. Actually, first off, just for fun, like, I thought, hey, since I didn't buy the eyeshadow palette, let's try it as eyeshadow. I didn't have any great expectations. I was like, if it feels as eyeshadow, I was not going to fault the product because it wasn't promoted to be an eyeshadow. But you know what? It's a simple eye look, but it worked. The golden one really shines, so that, highlighters always work. I think in general, highlighters tend to work well as eyeshadow. Now I was really concerned about the blush, which I use all of my transition, if that would work as eyeshadow. I did have to like build it up. At first I was like, oh, it's not showing up, but I built it up and it does show up. And I think it's actually pretty. It's a nice soft look, but great for the summer. So I actually like it as eyeshadow. I might even like it better as eyeshadow than blush. I know. Crazy statement to say, but I was actually pleasantly surprised using this as eyeshadow. I put the orange on the transition and on the lower lash line. I did use an orange mascara from Chanel that had come out last year just to kind of emphasize the orange on my lower lid. But let's talk about it as a blush because that is what it's promoted as for blush and highlighter. As I was applying it, and I don't know if you could tell from the video, and I tried like 3 different blush brushes just to, see what would work best. I had a feeling, even just looking at it, obviously this is really pressed in. Chanel, has been lately coming out with a lot of pressed powders. And so these kind of densely packed products, sometimes can be difficult to pick up, and you got to find the right brush, a very dense brush to kind of pick this up. And no surprise, the same with this. So when I was first applying it, I was like, oh God, is this not showing up? I was building it up. I purposely for you guys also, a lot of times I usually just have the ring light on. I showed you it both without the ring light and try to also show it to you in natural lighting, just because I was concerned that the ring light was washing it out. And actually, I'm gonna try now. It's dark today to do this in natural lighting here. It's a cloudy day today. Believe it or not, as summery as my look is right now, we just had a thunderstorm. It's only now the sun is starting to peek through. So I'm going to put back the ring lighting on. But yeah, I had some concerns that like this wasn't going to show up, but I actually was able to build it up. So I just wanted to give you a heads up, you know, particularly if you're my skin tone, it might not be as a big an issue for those of fair skin tones. But if you're my skin tone or deeper, I will say I did feel like I had to kind of work hard a little bit for the orange to show up as blush on my cheek. The highlighter wasn't an issue, and I never find like Chanel highlighters to ever be an issue. It's always questionable about their blushes lately, particularly when they're in a pressed format, if it's gonna pick up. But let's read what Chanel has to say about the product. And I'm gonna be looking down at my phone, just reading off the description. So it's an illuminating powder dew that enhances complexion with soft, natural radiance, as if bathed in the day light rays of the sun. And I'm going to skip down a little bit. A subtle iridescent hue accentuates the high points of the face, while the other with greater concentration of pigments give cheekbones a hint of color. The shades can be applied alone or together for a buildable look that creates contrast through light. Skipping down again, a very fine powder formula is packed with pearlescent particles that impart a delicate, luminous veil with every application. So I thought it was important to read the description because yes, reading is fundamental. But you know, like I said, initially when I was applying this, and I was like, man, like pigmentation, I started to pick up on what the formula is doing. And if you really read the description, they're actually not wrong in terms of how they're describing it. They're letting you know this is luminous, this is pearlescent, hint of color, hue, giving a ray of light. This isn't a matte blush, right? So you're not going to get the pigmentation on the level that a matte powder blush would give. So given that it's definitely luminescent, you can see it glows, I feel like it's giving that bronzy glow from within. It's very natural. So it does show up, but it's not going to show up like how a powder matte blush looks. So you just have to understand what the formula is giving. It's giving what it's intended to give. You just got to be cool with that intention. Actually, I do like it. I had to come around a little bit. It was just initial, I think my mind is so... I use a lot of matte powder blushes so much, it's like having to remember, wait, this is not a matte powder blush, because I kind of almost feel like, I know this is blush and highlighter, but like the formula is very similar. I mean, this has a little bit more glitter to this one. It's not obnoxious glitter, but the golden one definitely has a slightly more glittery finish, so I totally understand why this would definitely be a highlighter. This one, yeah, it works as a luminous blush, but has a formula that's kind of similar to a highlighter, to be honest. Now, I understand that this shade in particular is going to be too dark for most people to pull off as a highlighter. If you're, for potentially myself, especially for deeper skin tones, you might be able to pull this off. I use these two separately. I think going forward, I do want to try playing around, mixing the two together. How would they be together as blush? How would they be together as highlighter? So if you're following me on Instagram, do follow, because I'll give you updates, because I do want to play around with this more. This is a true first impressions. Lately, I try to make videos that are not first impressions, that I use it several times. But today it is a true first impressions. This is my first time using it. So I do want to play around with this more before I fully judge it. But yeah, now that I've had a minute to kind of sit with it, I'm not mad at it. It's a beautiful glowy blush. And as someone who generally isn't really into luminous blushes, I'll say I actually like it, given that, as someone from that perspective. So I just think it gives you that natural glow. Like I sat in the sun, or the sunset has just set, and it's the glow as it just hits my face and cascades of light onto my face, that kind of thing. But so I'm actually coming around to it. But yeah, initially I was kind of like, whoa, where is the pigment? I did feel like I had to work a little bit for this to show up. So just giving you a heads up, because I just want you to know your expectations, because obviously this stuff is not cheap. And if you're, just to know that you might have to work a little bit to build it up, particularly if you are my skin tone or deeper. Now, before I let you guys go, the one thing about this particular color story, that when I was thinking about it and thinking about what I have in my collection, there's something that I feel is giving a similar vibe that I figured that I would show you guys. Remember this Hourglass palette, this ambient lighting edit unlocked? This was the Tiger one. These are those limited edition, so it's not something that you can buy now. But if you own this one, I was just thinking about it. These colors are giving me very similar vibes. So what I'm gonna just try to do is swatch the two of these on my arm, and then I want to swatch this one, and this one to see how these two orange blushes and this golden blush compares to this. So let's just see if they're similar colors, and just so I can even remind myself about the palette and see how different or not so different they are. I'll start with swatching the Chanel, so I'll go orange, then yellow. Go. You know what, let me put it over here. I'm gonna do more in the middle. So there's the orange. And then the yellow. I'm not giving you the finger, please excuse me for that. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the two orange blushes from Hourglass over here, and I'll put the one golden on this side. So the middle is the Chanel. I got the Hourglass, so I'm gonna go from this one to this one, okay? So we're gonna start up here. And this color, as you can see, is a lighter orange tone, and it's more powdery. And then we're gonna go this one, which has more of a highlighter tone, and it is deeper. So actually, probably should put that one next to the Chanel, but there you go, because these two are the two that would be most likely to compare to. They're not the exact same, but I'm just thinking if they're giving similar vibes. And then let me do the gold. All right, so I'm just going into the gold now. All right, and here is the gold. I mean, golds are standard, but yeah, they're not exact same, so you don't have to worry about being exact dupes of each other. Now, I'm sure if everybody goes really deep into their collections, you'll probably find a gold somewhere. I don't know. We all have so many gold. Now, I will say, that's the other thing about this gold highlighter. It shows up on me, you can see. I will say it's definitely deep. So especially if you're a fair skin tone, how well will it show up on you guys, or not even just showing up. It'll show up on fair skin tones, but I don't know if it'll be the right tone, if it'll look too dark. Cause even for me, this is probably as dark as I typically would go for a golden highlighter. I typically a lot of times will go even lighter so that it pops more. Obviously if you're deeper skin tone than me, this will work great. So I do like the highlighter because it works for my skin tone. I think medium deep to deep, this golden highlighter really works. And then with the orange, like I said, especially this one's the most comparable. They're not the exact same, but this is giving similar vibes. So just reminding everybody, if you own this palette, then you might not need the Chanel. And I love this because I think this is like travel friendly, but so is Hourglass. And so you can get the same kind of orange bronzy vibe. If you already have the Tiger, you might not need the Chanel. It's a totally different vibe too. I will say the Hourglass is easier to pick up because it is a much more powdery, softer product versus the Chanel. So just giving you a heads up, I think in the end, the finish looks beautiful, but the pickup is easier with Hourglass than with Chanel. Just saying. But yeah, I just think, this is like, this look is the epitome of summer. So I do appreciate the vibes, the bronzy summer vibes that it's giving. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that. So yep, hopefully you found this video helpful. If you aren't already subscribed, consider subscribing to my channel. Please follow me on Instagram, Daps_makeup. That's where I tend to be the most active, and I'll provide some more updates on these products since this was a true first impression. But But until then, I'll see you next time whenever the new products that come into my collection. But for now, I just wish you guys, hope you have a fantastic day. Bye.